Final Fantasy XIV is a massive game with tons of content and systems, so it's not uncommon to pour hours into a playthrough without realizing to utilize even the most basic of features. Here are 5 super easy tips that you can incorporate into your Final Fantasy XIV gameplay that I find often go overlooked by new players. And if you're brand new to the game, you can also check out my 7 simple tips to improve your FF14 experience video to help you get started. For everyone else, hopefully you'll find something useful here to try out. Number 1. Scrap your extra gear for Grand Company seals. As you simply play through the game and progress through the MSQ, you are bound to fill your bags with mountains of gear that will inevitably go unused. Whether you're upgrading your pieces as you level up and leaving the old ones to collect dust, or just getting stuck with loot for jobs that you don't play, a full armory chest of unwanted stuff can be a headache. Rather than selling those unneeded pieces to a vendor, there is another way you can get rid of them if you are not in dire need of gil, and in fact may actually be more lucrative if you go through a few extra steps. It all comes down to your Grand Company. To use this service, you'll first need to rank up in your Grand Company to Sergeant 2nd Class by completing your Grand Company hunting log and turning in company seals to the personnel officer located at your Grand Company headquarters in Ul'dah, Limsa Lominsa, or Gridania for the Immortal Flames, Maelstrom, and Order of the Twin Adder respectively. The hunting log is simple. Just go kill the required mobs in the overworld or select dungeons, and the additional seals you need for ranking up can be acquired through fates or some duty roulettes. Once you've achieved that, you can then go back to the personnel officer for the option to take on an expert delivery, which is simply a way to feed them equipment you don't want or need. One caveat is that they will only take gear that is green or rarer, so unfortunately any regular basic gear you have won't be applicable. In exchange for this gear, you will receive additional company seals, which can now be used to purchase a whole slew of different things, ranging from material components for crafting to exclusive emotes, glamours, chocobo barding, and even minions. You can check the full list from the quartermaster vendor, usually seated right next to the personnel officer. Unfortunately, some rewards may be locked behind furthering your Grand Company rank, so it might be worth it to continue ranking up if something catches your eye that is currently unavailable. Personally, I have that collector's itch, so I swiped all the emotes and glamours as soon as I could. I also like to keep a healthy stock of Aetheryte tickets, which can be used to teleport directly back to the Grand Company headquarters. From there, any extra seals are used to buy the randomized minion caches. These boxes contain a random minion from their respective expansion, either Heavensward or Stormblood, and there's always a chance to pull something really rare. If you get unlucky and already have that minion, you can also try selling it on the market board or gifting them to friends. Mainly though, exchanging Grand Company seals is an excellent way to stay topped up on ventures, which segues quite nicely into the next tip. Number 2. Utilize and level up your retainers. Retainers are available at around level 20 by speaking to a retainer vocate in any capital city. You can call upon 2 for free, and despite all of the utility they bring, it's incredibly easy to forget they even exist in a casual playthrough. They are your personal bank, storing up to about 175 additional items each, and your access point to the market board to put your goods up for auction. If you ever want to keep a hold of something without wasting a slot in your own inventory, or make fortunes off of your crafts by selling them to other players, the retainers are the way to do that. Call for one now if you haven't already by speaking with the retainer vocate or interacting with the summoning bell in any major city. Now on top of those things, the biggest draw for having retainers at the ready is the ability to send them out on ventures. Your retainers are essentially your NPC assistants, and you can assign them tasks to complete while you are out adventuring. Once these tasks are finished, measured by Earth time, they will bring you back loot, spoils, and rewards. To unlock ventures, you'll first need to hire a retainer, then complete the quest An Ill-Conceived Venture, which can be found in your starting capital city, Ul'dah, Limsa Lominsa, or Gridania. After that, all you need to initiate these tasks is a currency called Ventures, which you can easily hoard by scrapping your unwanted gear via the previous tip. Now just like yourself, your retainers spec into a job and gain XP by completing Ventures. You get to choose what job they pursue, but it can only be a job that you yourself already have experience in. For example, you cannot spec a retainer to be a blacksmith if you as the player character have not unlocked the blacksmith job. A retainer also cannot be a higher level than you in any job. In addition, your retainers require gear as well. You will need to properly equip your retainer if you wish to send them out on more difficult ventures. Because of this, you may want to consider keeping some old gear from a job that you plan to spec your retainer into, or you could buy them a set from a vendor like normal. Utilizing retainers and ventures becomes a convenient way to collect materials for all sorts of different purposes, and it's very common to send them out to gather the components for crafting recipes. As an example, At the height of Shadowbringers, turning in coffee biscuits to a Leve Master was a ridiculously easy way to make gil quickly. One could craft coffee biscuits as a culinarian, with mats gathered as a botanist, but one of the ingredients was actually time-locked and could not be spam gathered in high quantities. One way I was able to circumvent this restriction was to level my retainers in botany and perpetually send them out on ventures to collect that material during the off times, while I focused on amassing the other ingredients. Alternatively, if I ever found myself too lazy, I just made my retainers gather every ingredient, saving me the trouble altogether. By doing this, I was able to keep a steady stock of coffee biscuit mats always coming, and business was continuously booming. Well, more so than if I hadn't used the retainers anyway. All this to say, don't neglect your retainers. A little bit of investment in the short term can go a long way later down the road. Number 3. Try PvP for leveling new jobs. Historically, PvP has gotten a bad rap in Final Fantasy XIV, but an effort was made within the last expansion to overhaul the system, and it's in much better shape than it used to be. Still, many players find the prospect of player versus player to be intimidating or otherwise unappealing. Despite those reservations, giving it a try does have its benefits, especially if you're working through leveling an alt job. To gain access to PvP, you'll first need to complete the quests A Pup No Longer and Like Civilized Men and Women, available at level 30 from your main city hub. From there, you can queue up into the duty finder like any other group content. Now if nothing else, PvP offers a refreshing bit of variety to the leveling grind. Your bread and butter for power leveling jobs will probably be a combination of the hunting log and duty roulettes, on top of endlessly spamming dungeons. This loop can get stale quickly, even more so if you go the other route of confining yourself within Palace of the Dead or Heaven on High for hours on end. Jumping into PvP is a completely different ballgame, and may be just the thing your tired leveling routine needs to prevent burnout. For one, there are several options for the type of PvP you can join. Larger scale engagements like Frontline have you work in big teams, so if you're worried about your individual performance, you can rest easy in these modes, knowing that you're but one soldier in the midst of an army. At the other end of the spectrum, Crystalline Conflict is 5v5 and much more fast paced, so if you enjoy the thrill of battle, this may be more your speed. It doesn't hurt to try, and you can always fall back on the comforting knowledge that one battle is just one battle. Good or bad, you have the option to put it behind you forever and never look back. Or, it could be the spark to a new passion. You won't know until you take that first step. I recommend trying PvP on a job you're currently leveling because it also earns you XP. Winning a battle can net you a huge boost to your XP, while even just participating and losing provides a decent amount as well. One thing to keep in mind is that PvP utilizes an entirely different set of actions, so when you first go into it, you might be confused about what happened to your hotbars. Luckily, the number of abilities are stripped down and theoretically easier to manage, so after a bit of time, the adjustment shouldn't be too difficult. Setting things up in the Wolf's Den Pier and practicing on a dummy beforehand could be useful to prep as a first timer. Participating in PvP also comes with its own set of exclusive rewards. Even if you are no good, or you get carried by your team, or you lose every battle, just by playing the game mode, you can earn PvP currencies and series XP that opens access to loads of really cool stuff. Gear, glamours, portrait frames, mounts, and more are all there for the taking simply for participating. Of course, as you continue to hone your PvP skills, you'll improve, which should help you win more battles, which will allow you to earn all of those things faster, and the cycle begins anew. Level up your job, earn series XP, and get cool rewards, all while beating up other players. That's the pitch. Despite its bad reputation, it could be for you. As a trial, the best way to dip your toes in is to queue for the Frontline Roulette and see for yourself. Number 4. Test your mettle with Stone Sky Sea. So you've been playing the game for a bit, leveled up several jobs, and now you're wondering if you're good enough to take on some juicy high-end content. It can be hard to gauge your level of proficiency, especially since Final Fantasy XIV does not allow traditional DPS meters through their terms of service. So instead, the game includes several out-of-the-way solo duties that you can undertake to test your skills. Stone Sky Sea is the first of these duties, offering challenges according to level 60 content. To unlock it, you must complete the level 60 quest, A Striking Opportunity, from the Boisterous Bruiser in Idyllshire, then talk to the Goodly Adventurer in the Dravanian hinterlands. It's essentially a collection of trials where you're tasked with killing a singular striking dummy. Each trial corresponds to a specific fight, an extreme, savage, etc. And the idea is that, if you can defeat the striking dummy within the allotted time, you theoretically meet the minimum DPS requirements to hold your own in that corresponding duty. Your equipped gear, mastery of your abilities, and individual skill all play a part in your performance against the dummy. If it's too hard, getting better equipment or practicing your rotation may be necessary. For higher than level 60 content, Stone Sky Sea also has expansions to account for the increases in difficulty. The Circles of Answering is the first expansion that covers level 70 duties, followed by The Lawns, which covers level 80 duties, and most recently, The Burning Field, which covers level 90 Endwalker duties. Each is locked behind a similar initial starting quest, which can be found in Raugra's Reach, Yulmore, and Razathan respectively. Stone Sky Sea can be a valuable research for those that want to assess their skills with a job, or are hesitant to step into a new high-end duty. It offers a pressure-free environment to practice your abilities and can give you a baseline to gauge your readiness for raiding. It's important to remember, however, that a stationary striking dummy is a far cry from an actual boss encounter with real mechanics and strategies to overcome. Stone Sky Sea measures the absolute bare minimum for competency, so even if you can overcome it with relative ease, don't expect to blow a fight out of the water as if it were comparable to simply beating up a striking dummy. Either way, it's worth it to give it a try. Number 5. Experience Hildebrand. He's the darling of Final Fantasy XIV, the mean machine and gentleman expector extraordinaire himself, Hildebrand Manderville. Even if you're a new player, chances are you've probably already seen his face somewhere on the web. But if you don't know anything about him, I won't spoil it. It's best to go in blind and ride that wave for what it is. That being said, you should know that the Hildebrand questline is a series of optional blue quests starring Hildy as he goes through various misadventures. They begin in Ul'dah with the quest The Rise and Fall of Gentlemen, which you can get from talking to Wymond on the steps of Nald. As blue quests, they unlock otherwise inaccessible content. Several exclusive trials are only available by progressing through the Hildebrand quests. There's also a plethora of titles, popular emotes, and cosmetics to gain from doing them as well. At the end of Endwalker, being up to date with the Hildebrand quests is also necessary to complete and obtain your relic weapons. Relic weapons are traditionally some of the most difficult weapons in the game to get, and they are commonly glamored as a badge of honor for completing the grind. By that token, they are stunning and have gorgeous effects. The Endwalker relics are the easiest to obtain by far, with the only real difficulty being the requirement to finish all of the Hildebrand quests. You should be forewarned, however, that the quests are quite lengthy with lots of cutscenes. You could blast through them and skip the cutscenes, but for these quests in particular, I highly recommend against it. They are comedic in nature, and unlike anything else in the game, for better or for worse, and depending on your tastes, they can come across as anywhere from absolutely incredible to utterly insufferable. No matter where you land though, I stand that everyone should still do them. They are a core part of the FF14 experience, and I'm not exaggerating when I say you will definitely be missing out if you overlook them. And that about covers it. Let me know what you think, and thanks for watching. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. Until next time. See ya!